Okay, so we've learned how to make some basic stuff in AutoCAD. Great. Now it's time to turn our drawings into printable things that could be printed and sent to a place to manufacture. So I'm going to introduce you to Paper Space. Paper Space is a different view of your object, and fun fact, you have a Paper Space already created for yourself. So what you're going to do is click the Views tab right here, and you're going to see Model View, Layout 1, Layout 2. I have never used Layout 2 before. I always use Layout 1 as my paper space, but you can also add new layouts. It could be a template that you load into the software, but that's something for another day. For today, you're going to go to Layout 1, and there's two things that you need to recognize here. You have the actual page itself, but then you also have the view space. So you notice that the sheet on my view is not zooming in and out. It's just this grid. That's the view space. To change which space you're in, double click. That's it. And the fastest way that I use, zoom in and out. If the entire thing zooms in and out, you are on the paper space. If you are zooming in and out and the paper is staying put, you're in the viewfinder. Okay, now, how to decide where to go. So here my text is yellow and it's not great to look at. Kind of ugly. What I can do is do a zoom extents. Now this feature is also available on your normal model view. Basically, it zooms in to the point where you can see everything at one time. It's a great little handy shortcut. For the viewfinder, this is excellent because it'll make sure everything that you're trying to show is actually on the page. Now, I'm wondering, you can adjust the size of your viewfinder by clicking and dragging. What I'm going to do here, there we go. I've now extended that view to be the entire top of my page, and what I'm going to do is just, in the bottom, add some text. Now, we use things called title blocks, but for now, I'm just adding some text to try to identify who drew it and what the product is. I'm going to click OK. And now, yeah, it doesn't look excellent. You can still use all the same draw tools, annotate, modify, all that stuff. I'm going to choose that. I'm going to try and change the layer to just black. No, that's not. Let's see. Let me figure out how to do that. Alright, so I put my text in, and it is in the dimension layer. So I select the text and go to the Properties tab, Color. We're going to go, not by layer, we're going to change the layer to 0. That's my basic layer. That's good. And then what I could do, you could take your time and actually measure out the page and set it up precisely. For now, I'm just going to do this because the whole goal here, we're going to try and get us to import title blocks. Title blocks are the format of the page. Alright, so I got to Paper Space. I adjusted this viewfinder so it can take up more of the page. I go into the viewfinder, zoom extents, and now I go out of the viewfinder to add my text. At this point, I'm ready to print. Now, to print, let's see, we're going to go to the views, and here layout properties. So there's going to be some options for you. Probably should have gone over this beforehand, but if you intend on printing on a standard size piece of paper, printer paper, it's 8.5 by 11, and it defaults to letter size. However, if you get fancy and you want to use larger paper or something that is standardized to a certain industry, they have a lot of different options for you. And in fact, on the desktop version, they have it so you can input dimensions as well. But for now, we're just doing 8.5 by 11. Now let's look at portrait, landscape. Come on, we got that. Plot style, a CAD. These three have different approaches to the way that they produce their product. A CAD is going to be exactly what you see on your screen. It's going to have the same colors and everything. Grayscale, I'll show you what that looks like, but it's going to apply grayscale to it. Probably better if you have textures or patterns in your drawing and not just lines. Lastly, we have monochrome, black and white. I'm going to show you the difference now. This is a CAD. This is that colored version. And here, if you print it, it'll try to print yellow and red. Not the best. And strangely enough, my center lines are messed up. Something that I got to check for. But not today. Here, I use the grayscale. And since my dimension lines are yellow, they made a fainter colored line. It's gray. Lastly, this is monochrome. This is my favorite because it's very clear, easy to see. When you try to print, you're going to select your style, and then you're going to go to, well, I guess it's a good idea to save because it'll save all your work, but to the right of that, print. And they call it plotting. Plotting, or plotters, are just big printers. That's all they are. So if somebody says, hey, I just bought a plotter for $3,000, they just mean they bought a big fancy printer. What to print? Current layout. That is just this paper space. You could select all your layouts and it'll give you multiple prints of all your different stuff. Here you can also specify a scale. We're going to just stick to 1:1 because we are printing an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. There. I can't even change these things. So now I'm going to plot to PDF. When I do this, it says, hey, I'm generating your PDF. Give me a second. Once that's done, I'll reload. Didn't take much time at all. Now I can click Download PDF. Goes to my download folder, and now I can open it up. This is what it looks like. Not the best. Honestly, should have left more space on that left-hand side. Probably should have not messed with the viewfinder in general. However, we have a printable sheet that could then be used in a wood shop or machine shop or something like that. This point here is specifying the center of these radii. So just to let you know there. That's basically how you set up your stuff to print in paper space. Alright, so I did a little more investigating, and there's some more notes that I want you to take. One thing is that this gray dotted line is the non-printable boundary. So that means that it will not print anything past that boundary. I don't understand why it exists. I feel like it should just print what it has. However, that's the nature of it. So just keep that in mind. Let's see. When you select your viewport, there are going to be unique properties that you can change in the properties window. This property window changes for whatever you're looking at. One of the things you'll notice is viewport scale. So if you decide that you want to make a specific scaled drawing, you can select a scale from this list. 1/100th means that the drawing is going to be 1/100th the size of the actual object. If we were going 1:1, it would be the same size as the object. Now, this object's fairly large. It's more than 10 inches wide, so it's not going to fit on the page. So we ended up going to, let's see, 1:2 scale is actually pretty nice, and I'd probably stick with this. We're just drawing one thing. I think this is great. But just in case you needed to change the scaling, it's that property window. There's other things here as well. Let's see. Annotation scale. Interesting. Does that change? Okay. So eventually we're going to get to annotative text and dimension styling. That will change the size of your dimensions and your annotations based on the scale of your viewport. Once again, let me say that sentence because that was a little bulky. There is a type of text that will change its size based on the scale that you report in this viewport. So that's important for later. That being said, that pretty much does it for this video. At this point, you now know how to take your drawing, put it onto a sheet of paper for a preview, and generate a monochrome printed version of your object. Good job.